I want to tell you a little story about a guy named Nick. He was a host of a podcast called The Mindless Morning Show. Tex decided to freeze his ass off with the big ol' ice age. So Josh decided to call up his boy from You Dive Deep.
Yo, what's up, Tommy?
Little did they know that they were becoming best friends. Tommy looked to Josh and finally said, I'm taking over this podcast. I am the brand new host.
Wait, what?
I will be here with you while Nick freezes off his post.
All right.
Don't worry, I never abandon you. I'm not a hoe.
Good.
Just sit back, enjoy the Mindless Morning Show.
Nick, you suck.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Mindless Morning Show. I am here still without Nick, but with our amazing guest co-host, Tommy Yu of the You Dive Deep podcast, and also joined by none other than John SohoJohnny Pasquale. He is an amazing person, a philanthropist, concert producer, a man of many things. And I got to say, you've
Last true Renaissance man.
Yeah, done so much in your lifetime. And clearly, if you guys are watching on YouTube, how amazing does this man look right now? My goodness.
Gosh, I don't remember the last time I've ever seen you in a button-up. So, I mean, you kind of dressed to impress, and then Johnny comes out here is like, yo, sit down, kid. Sit down.
I knew Johnny was coming on, so I was like, all right, I gotta get a little bit nicer looking than normal.
Well, fellas, I want to thank you for having me on the show today. And who was that guy you were talking about? It definitely couldn't be me. I consider myself the accidental tourist in everything that my journey in my life, which I'll get into in a minute. But thank you again for having me on the show today. And for all the listeners out there, every day is a blessing and a gift. And we've got a lot of brighter times ahead of us. I just been trying year and the last year for everybody, given everything that's going on. But there's always light at the end of the tunnel, which is a big part of what my platform's all about. And
oh, for sure.
So just wanted to try and start off on a light note there for everybody, guys.
Oh, that's definitely a good light note right there. I mean, that's all we need is to just keep on looking forward and keep on trucking. So, well, how you doing today, man? So how's your day going?
Doing great. I seem to always be running to catch, to keep up with the ball and everything, and different things that I've got to stay on top of and everything. But, it's a blessing to be able to do what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. I think I'm very, very thankful and what has happened to me in my life. And, I hate that I shirk at the word career because career sounds like so serious, right? But, for those of us that, you follow your passion and you could turn passion into somewhat of a business, and a business is a necessary part of it, but just kind of follow your passion. And part of like what I've done here is combine that with some charity philanthropy, and it's been a secret. It's been my McDonald's secret sauce, if you will, to help put wind in my sails, and has just opened up many doors and many blessings and people around me.
Awesome. I like to hear that. And you certainly do look like a very busy man with the amount you got going on behind you. I mean, that just looks like, looks terrifying, to be honest. Looks like quite a bit of work. How do you manage it all? Well,
picture me as, a large Mack truck or a tractor trailer going on the highway, right? And a Mack is like a very well-known name, built Mack tougher and everything. That little figurehead, the bulldog on front of it? That's me. All the horsepower and everything else is all my team around me and people that have supported me. They're the ones that deserve all the credit. I'm just a figurehead and I kind of like a little bit of a conductor, but it's truly all about human resources that makes magic work in any endeavor that we do. It's all about togetherness and outreach.
Wow. I mean, that's super wholesome and humble of you to say.
I just had to ask. It's really cool just being able to sit down and talk to you because we've definitely tried to do our fair share of research to kind of see who is this man, this awesome figure? And I'm gonna have to address the elephant in the room. I feel like I'm that guy in this podcast. I'm always addressing the elephant in the room. So where does SohoJohnny begin, and where does it meet John Pasquale? Where is that? Is it fusing into one? Are you the same person, or is it almost like a two separate entras, if you will?
That's an excellent question, and let me just backtrack a little bit. Like, I'll just go back to my humble beginnings. I was born in the Big Apple in Manhattan, and this is going back way in the days. And I was brought up when I was in grammar school. I was, we're talking about the 60s, right? And we lived in a small apartment called Stuyvesant Town in Manhattan on 14th Street. MetLife had built it, and it was, I guess, relatively new at the time. Large complex. Many people in the audience probably know about it. And at some point, and when I was in grammar school, I was a very nervous kid. I was a stuttering kid, okay? And I look back at pictures today, and I got all these pictures recently, and I'll tell you why shortly. And I'm looking back, and as you live your life and get older in life, you look back and you reinvent and rediscover the person that you really were and that you're evolving throughout your history, right? And what I noticed about myself is that I was always that practical joker, even in grammar school. I used to get in trouble because back in those, I went to parochial school, and they had the yardstick, and
the ruler comes out.
Those are different times. But I would get in trouble, but I would always get a laugh of the class. That was like important to me. And even the teachers, even if that, I'd get in trouble, whatever, they would laugh, try to hide their laughter, because this is, back in the day. I mean, many of us may have seen that movie Dead Poet Society, with Robin Williams, and it has to be, that's like kind of the school structure back in that. That was actually probably setting in the 50s. But fast forward from that, my parents eventually moved to the Boogie Down Bronx, which is where my mother was from, and they moved into the sister complex, a place called Parkchester that MetLife built. It's like almost an exact sister. I don't know, probably thousands or whatever apartments. And then eventually they got a house in the Bronx, and I'm still in grammar school now, and they got a house, and there was a garage in the back. Now I had to develop, kind of this reputation of just being, this I hate to say clown or whatever, but people would just want to hang out because everybody would it would just be, I would just kind of just have a good time and just very, very sincere. So for some reason, I ended up going into garage after school, and I'd have the phonograph going and a little music. And back in those days, I had a black light and a strobe light and played rock music, which is now classic rock, of course. And the word kind of gotten out. So my friends would come there after school, and then word traveled throughout the neighborhood. They would come there after school. And the Bronx in those days, I mean, there was a lot of gangs on the street. It was very, very prevalent. And it's funny, the families of all those kids that would come by, they were kind of glad. They figured they were off the street back in this garage. So that was kind of like the seed of entertainment. And I always say to myself, I owe that seed a little bit to my late mom, okay? Because she always had music in the household. And, when you think back when you're a kid, like, why did I grow to love music if you love music as much as I do? And mostly I don't know of anyone that doesn't at some point in their life. You remember when you were a kid that song, when you used to drive your parents crazy, you could play it over and over. And back in those days, we had the vinyl, which is what I did. I mean, I was asked this on another interview to name an artist, and Tom Jones came to my mind. And he's amazing. He's still out there performing. He's great. He was on the show, The Voice, or whatever it was. And What's New Pussycat? I think it came out. It was a vinyl album based on, I think, on a movie. That he had an album out, What's New Pussycat, and I used to play that record over and over and over in the household. So fast forward from that, I kind of continued to have these parties or get-togethers, whatever, and then in latter years disco came out, and then I became like a DJ. Nothing really super professional, but I would have parties, whatever. And then my parents actually, this is kind of hilarious. People remember that movie Animal House, okay, that famous movie from National Lampoon back in the 70s. But my parents moved out of the house, and as they were moving temporarily, I was there for a while, maybe for about a year or two. So I had this house to myself. And I always had the reputation of friends being able to crash at my house, even at different unusual hours of night. You just come and just put up a pot of water. So, I think I've always had that in me, that type of hospitality, that type of always wanting to make people smile. And that's been kind of a gift because it gives back. So now, fast forward from there. Let me backtrack a little bit. SohoJohnny.com, my platform, is based upon the fact that was like a nickname of mine because my grandfather had come to this country, just like many of us are humble immigrants if you trace back all our lineages, right? And back over 100 years ago, and he started like his little humble business. He was a poor guy in Soho, in the Soho, it's a historic district that most people know in Manhattan. And, he started like a little business there. Then my father's generation took over a little trucking business. And, I used to go to school, go to work with my dad back in the day. And somehow I got the name over the years, SohoJohnny. It was one of my nicknames. And that kind of resonated with me and is where the name came from. But fast forward from that again, about 26 years ago, my dad died of cancer. And what I did is at that time, I kind of like, we all process death, which defines life differently. And we all go through stages of death, they say, grief, anger, despair. And then, it's part of life. We accept it and we have to still look at the blessings that we had. I do. So I tried to channel that energy in a positive way. And what I did is I just ramped up because I was having these like parties, shows, whatever. Now I ramped it up and I started getting original artists. And then I said, let me do something about this cancer thing, because it affects like the statistics. This affects all of us by a certain percentage at some point of someone that you love. And I started doing things for the American Cancer Society. And once I started doing that, then like there was a whole world that kind of opened up. Okay. The people that I met and the love from starting doing these type of projects was unbelievable to me, and just kind of opened up doors and the outreach and listen, I want to say that I'm the accidental tourist in this whole thing. Okay, I'm just a kid behind the desk in my father's business, and I started a real estate business in the '80s that's still out there now because we have some properties in Soho, and I had a brokerage for commercial retailers or whatever, PEPrealestate.com, PEPrealestate.com, but and which is still out there, and we're still in business. But and then I just found that it just discovered so many things. So then I continued to do it, and then more and more opportunities came. And so now this other world, okay, which I was always kind of flirtatious with, because like when I was doing the real estate, for instance, I would always be, because, I was down real estate in Soho. My office was in Soho, which is a very creative area and always will be internationally known, right? So I met so many people and celebrities over time, but just like real estate, like finding them a space, like in 1985, I rented a restaurant to Grace Jones, the fabulous Grace Jones. And I think she found out about it because Andy Warhol, the late Andy Warhol, used to hang out upstairs. It was like, you could probably see it was one of his hideouts. And back then, these are just like old shoddy lofts, okay, back in those days, I guess in the 70s or early 80s. So I had those doors open, and then I just continued to do it. And then more opportunities came. I started a platform, and I started representing artists, okay, to help propel their career, and that's kind of grown a little bit here and there. I mean, not a lot, but just kind of selectively, because I never want to overpromise and underdeliver. And I started getting involved with other shows and producing other shows, even just getting involved with the more and more now lately with the movie business, so to speak, and producing those things. But as I chugged along, it was just a wonderful experience. So keep the timeline going forward here, right? So I will share this. More recently, it's funny, 2020 for most of us is probably a brain fart. Like for me, when I think last year, I'm really thinking 2019, because last year was just kind of like a freeze frame, right, for everybody, for obvious reasons. But I guess in 2019, I put together a great show, and again, I don't want to take credit for it because it was all the people around me, but it was an all-day festival, and this was based on classic disco, okay, which is one of my loves. And I had an all day. So in the afternoon it was under a circus tent, okay, and in the evening was in a grand ballroom. And I had a long list of performers that come support me, and was for raising money for American Cancer Society. I had Denny Terrio, the famous Denny Terrio. He had a show, Dance Fever, back, I guess, in the 70s. He taught John Travolta how to dance from Saturday Night Fever. I had Tavares, the original bands, Tavares, Heatwave, Fonderay, Terry DeSario, Sharon Brown, Jimmy Bohorn. The list goes on. I had Monty Rock III. I call him my Mr. Magnificent. He was the DJ in Saturday Night Fever in the movie, and he did that famous song back probably like in the advent of disco called Get Dancing. My wig is wet, my chiffon is wet. I love him. Double Exposure, Planet Patrol, Instant Funk, all these bands, a tribute artist to Luther Vandross, Danny Clay, he was great, and Robert Barco did a kick-ass George Michael. And I also had Konstantin Morolis, who's not disco, he's a younger generation, but we all know him from Rock of Ages, wonderful voice he had. And that was another send-off that we were able to pull that off, and everybody had a great time. The artists came. I mean, I treat them like family, a great green room. Like, we're here to do not just a job. We're here to do a team, with family. Let's all have some fun and have that connectivity, because it's all about the passion, the umbilical cord you have as a performer with the audience. And I'm a performer myself, okay, by default. And not by intention, okay? Because I'm on the stage, I'm performing. I got these trained with these other girls, choreography, and I sing, and I'll do all these things. I'll perform along with these bands or whatever that I put these shows together. And here I am finding all, as I said, we all learn more about ourselves as we get older. And this definitely, this trifecta, I call it, of charity, putting shows together, the people that come around and the connection to the audience, because that's the key ingredient for true performers. Okay. And it wasn't until I got involved with this that I really appreciate how much work goes into this. It's stressful to make sure everything goes right. You want to have the timing, the green room, everybody time, what's the music, what's the sound score, with the sound engineer. And it's fantastic. So dovetailing from that, now the entertainment business has been going more and more streaming towards tech anyhow. This COVID experience just catapulted it really, really into hyperdrive, right? We all know that. So one of the more recent shows I did was a virtual show. I couldn't do a live show, but it was November 24th. It was a 6-hour virtual concert. And I had artists, thanks to my team, people like John Valesco, Eileen Shapiro, Jimmy Starr, and all these people helped bring other people. And I had artists donate, either allowing footage of themselves, shout outs, or performances on this 6-hour stream live show from all around the world. I mean, I've got a list here I'll go over. But what I did is earlier this year, and what I used, instead of just doing just for one charity, American Cancer Society, I had lost my mom earlier this year to COVID myself, okay? And I will share that with the audience. So just like when I lost my dad, of course I'm grieving. I make light of no one else's suffering, okay? I consider myself blessed. She was 93, but it's like, you kind of figure it shouldn't have happened for this stupid disease, right? She probably had more time in her. But you know what? I still consider myself blessed, and I channel that energy. And what can I do? So I took a foundation. I was tinkering. I was starting this foundation, and I started the foundation called Let Me Help Inc. INC. LetMeHelpInc.org is the website. And a foundation, like a charity, of course, is for charitable purposes, such as for COVID or cancer or whatever. But a foundation could pivot and give to different charities. American Cancer Society is just for cancer, right, guys? But this could do for this. So what I actually did is we actually did 3 different causes for this concert on November 24th. We raised money for prostate cancer. We raised money for COVID through Department of Aging in Yonkers in Westchester County in New York. I think it was a COVID or Meals on Wheels. I think it was to bring meals to these COVID families or underprivileged families or that were affected. And then one hour of this 6-hour show was co-produced by another talented guy, an artist in his own right, Andrew Cole. Hashtag I am no joke for anti-bullying, an endeavor to raise money for that awareness. Okay. Which, first, when you first think about it, well, that's not a disease or anything. Well, guess what? You'd be surprised how it affects, especially children, and how they turn out with problems and even suicide rates. You'd be surprised about that. And between the combination of my wonderful, wonderful think tank, again, remember, I'm just that Mack truck symbol in front of the truck. Some of the people, like I just mentioned, who deserve all the praise, and these artists, okay, because they're just doing it from the goodness of their heart. We had, on the show, I mentioned some people that were on the show. We had like Patrick Stewart, Ozzy and Sharon Osbourne, Cedric the Entertainer, Tommy James, like we know Tommy James and Chandel's, Kim Sledge from Sister Sledge. And there's a whole list here. Rocky Kramer, Tommy Claxton, Brian Sebastian. I mean, I have a whole list. I don't want to take it. Mickey Burns, who's a fantastic talk show host of Profiles, okay? Good, I consider him one of my mentors. Howard Bloom, a fantastic publicist and brilliant, brilliant man, another person I definitely look up to. Ken Miller, Christine Laureen Landon. I mean, the list goes on. Revolution, Screaming Rachel, Sherry Nelson, Tim Moss, Leon Robinson, October London, Charlie Black, April Gabrielle, Fred Schneider from the B-52s. I love him. And just so many different people that, Steve Perkins from Jane Addiction, Scott Page from Pink Floyd, and the list goes on. So, the thing is it was really, I was very fortunate. And, I'm kind of like a little kid, I'm still that stuttering kid, okay, inside. But, I kind of like found the happenstance to turn that energy inside out, whatever negativity comes around. I mean, listen, we all go through trials and tribulations, and life is not meant to be perfect, right? It's not meant to be, not here. Now, depending on, I don't get into religion. The house of SohoJohnny is open to anybody. I call it the house of SohoJohnny. It doesn't matter what your diversity is, wherever background you're from, everyone's welcome as long as you're not here to hurt anybody. And I consider myself having a second education, by the way, guys, because being brought up in like one of the melting pot in New York City, inside the melting pot, like the Boogie Down Bronx, I've seen people from all different ethnic backgrounds get together and work together. To me, it was a second education, and I found myself blessed, and it gave me another education. So to my late dad, I owe my sense of, because anybody that would meet him would say that he was, and I'm not saying this because it's my dad. I was fortunate. He came from nothing. He had practically no shoes when he lived through the Depression, right? And, anybody that would meet him would say kind things. It doesn't matter what it was, whether they had something or it didn't matter what they had or didn't have, they would say something kind. So I say to myself, I got my sense of humility and humanity from dad, and I got my music from mom. And music being the tie that binds, okay, is the compound, and entertainment is the common denominator that I use to tie everything together. And I throw in a slice of philanthropy or charity in there. Of course, there's a place for business. You got to pay the bills and everything. And that's kind of what I did. So I guess I'll go over a couple of the projects I'm in a couple of minutes, but I'm just going to take a breath here. Forgive me for being so verbose, because it's really not about me, but I'm trying to, I got all these things swimming in my mind and they just got to come out,
No, not a problem. Clearly you're a busy man. To backtrack just a bit, I think I could speak for both Tommy and I. We're definitely class clowns, or we're in our class days, but so that gives us a little hope that we got something to look forward to. We can be the next SohoJohnny here. So, but also, it's very humbling because, granted, you had these opportunities. It's not, you didn't just take them. Like, you went above and beyond with them, and you excelled. And I definitely appreciate the whole cancer thing, because my dad recently had prostate cancer. And he, with the whole COVID thing, he had to be in the hospital for a while, completely by himself. And that crushed me, absolutely crushed me. So, but he's doing much better now. And so I'm glad about that. But yeah, I appreciate what you and your whole team's doing, because that's awesome stuff. And I'm really also, I want to give my condolences to your late mother, because that's not easy, man. And I don't know how you keep such a positive, heavy, light glow to you, but I mean, man, you got it.
Well, I'm not reinventing the wheel. Okay. What I try to do is I try to discipline my mind and my emotions to accept that I'm a human being, that I have to love myself, not in a narcissistic way, not in a selfish way, accept myself and forgive myself. And if you come from that position and try to say that all the time, it makes it easier to be humble and noble when you relate to other people. And that's charity. So charity is not necessarily writing a check, okay? Charity, because it doesn't matter if you have nothing. Charity could be as simple as making somebody smile when you walk down the street, like I saw an elderly lady the other day, and just trying to put her in a better frame of mind. Because if we all wake up with the feeling that every day is a blessing and a gift, and not to make light, again, I say this again, if anyone's suffering, because I know everybody's going through a lot, but, for me, I say, you know what? There's always someone less fortunate. There's always someone less fortunate. I got 2 arms, 2 legs. And on that note, I'll tell you about, and another thing, we're all role models to each other. Again, it doesn't matter what you have. It's important to remember that we make a difference, and everybody can make a difference that are listening. I want to, before I continue, I just also want to give a shout out to both of you, and then your other host that's not present here, for having the show that you have, because you're part of what's leaving the light on. Because social distancing is not social isolation. It's outreach, it's having shows of communication, it's entertainment, and it's picking up a phone for someone that you haven't spoken to and say, hey, listen, how you doing? And maybe they may tell you a tale of woe. I go on social media and I see all these things for prayer warriors, and I say a prayer, whatever the case may be. But that type of communication is what we're all about. That's part of the key, okay? And that is the currency. That's the currency. Money has its place. It's just a tool. It's a piece of paper. We give it value as human beings. But the true currency of life that matters, that you want stocked up on the bank, is when you look back at your life, when at the end of your life, you say, how many people did I touch in a positive way? How many people did I show some degree of love, whether it be a small degree, putting a smile on an elderly woman's face, or just having love, people say kind things and just outreach into it. It doesn't mean you still do business, you still do whatever you have to do, you still go through your life, but you keep that in the back of your mind, okay? That's sent to the ethics of humanity. This is not religion, even an atheist. This is common sense ethics of humanity. I have a comic book out, Mandate for Humanity, SohoJohnny, that I have out that tells about the whole story. And actually, they made me this character that kind of like tries to put people in a better frame of mind. And I get superpowers from Scott Page, from Pink Floyd, Monty Rock the Third, who I mentioned before, and who was the third? I think it was Howard Bloom, the publicist as well. But so I think talking about the charities and everything, I'll mention a few things here. We did that show, and of course, cancer has been a main thing that we've tried to work on. But right now in the works, my mentor, John Valesco, had mentioned, John, there's this blind kids camp in New Jersey, and it's being affected because of the economic depression. And I said, why don't we do something for them, okay? And I thought it was a great idea. Once he said blind kids, it was like, it hits you right here. I said, what a great idea, John. So we have one of the fantastic bands that that's part of our roster now, and these guys are wonderful. It's called Animazex, and we help bring them into Japan. And Animazex is, Mike and Rudy and the boys, and they do these heavy metal rock for Disney cartoon shows, Disney characters, and they are rocking it. They're charting all over the place. They're a blessing to work with, and they're great. So we said, why don't we just tie them to this camp? And we're going to make that the charity of the Animazex charity for this blind kids camp. And we're going to do a show probably later on in this year, and we could do a show and we're gonna rock it. We're gonna raise money for them, and we may outreach for role models. I mean, think about blind women's game. Who comes to your mind? Stevie Wonder, Andre Bocelli. You want to get these people and those are the I call. We love celebrities because they're a great actor, or they're a great singer, or choreographer, or comedian. But they're really even more of a celebrity if they give back, if they use their popularity, their money, and their celebrity status to give back. The people on my show, I'm so awed and so thankful for them for that were on my show November 24th. And, this is this has been a wonderful journey. I mean, people ask me, what would you tell a younger version of yourself, or an artist that's coming up, when they're much lot younger? And someone asked this question of me the other day. And I said, you know what? That stuttering kid in grammar school back in the day, because, I was I call myself accidental tourist because it just happened organically for me later on in life. I was doing other things. When we grow up, the society kind of forces conformity on us, that we have to be a certain way, get a job, get a career, get an education. It's all good things, necessary things, right? But, try to hold on. So if I had to tell that younger person or advise somebody, I would say, seek out your passion. Whatever it is, if you have a passion, and try to understand it at an early age. And don't just let your life just take you anywhere it wants. Have a design, have a plan. And you're never too young to do this, okay? And you can change it and tweak it along the way. Drive the bus of your life. Don't be a passenger. And that is what kind of came to my mind when I was asked that question. So I usually say that on a forum such as this, because it really makes a lot of sense. It really, really makes a lot of sense. So other things going on. I have the privilege of working with another brilliant guy, Maurice Hamilton from the SMC group. And together with our teams, we now take artists, only a few of them, very, very select, that are up and coming, that have the talent, stick-to-itiveness, and the drive. And if they're lucky, okay, not that we're any Midas touch, but we're humble, we will connect them, and they may be like one of the poster childs for the next Coca-Cola poster child, or Unilever, or one of these multinational corporations. So we're working with Maurice with that. We have, there is a show that I'm going to be hosting coming out soon later on this year.
Oh, nice.
I was just on the phone with my dream team earlier today, and it's going to be called Soho at Night, and I'm looking forward to it. And boy, I'm going to have a good time.
Are you going to have us on this? I want to be on Soho at Night.
It's going to be. Let me tell you, it's going to be because my family has peprealestate.com, these Soho lofts, whatever down Soho. These old historic. They're old. They're built, I don't know, 150 years ago, whatever it was.
Right.
But we're going to have these lofts. We'll walk into different rooms. We'll have different celebrities and different spins on it. I'm not going to give the whole secret away yet, but it's a very, very exciting project, and I'm working with some great people on that as well. So that's in there. I just helped co-produce a small part in the show, in a movie that's be coming out soon. Slayers. Doing some acting myself, and also coming out with my own music. And I'm going to be coming out with 2 tribute songs soon. One of them I'm working in conjunction with my buddy, the talented Scott Page, who I mentioned before, original sax from Pink Floyd and Supertramp and Toto, and wonderful guy. I helped support him because he's another philanthropist. He's a smart, brilliant tech guy in his own right. And of course, he's into entertainment and a performer. But he raised money for the Watts Conservatory for underprivileged children there for music in LA, and I helped support him. That was, I think, January of last year. What a wonderful guy. So he's working with me for a tribute song that will be coming out soon with his team, and his team with Thinky XP, Steve Perkins, Kenny Olson, and his dream team as well. But so I mean, I'm trying not to, and again, I know we're talking about this. What's important for me that I feel I should mention is this is not so much really about me. Okay, I look at myself kind of like a conduit. Okay, to try to get this passion. Now, sometimes I ask myself, where did all this passion, this empathy come from? Because I see other people. See, I'm one of those people that, I think it's called empathetic, like an empath, where you feel a lot. I feel like, of course, I lost my mom, but I think, you feel the highs, you feel the lows a lot more. And then without any drugs, okay? You just feel it,
Yeah, you were.
I say that because, it's just organically, just healthy lifestyle. But, and they just wonder, people say, well, I'd rather not be too sensitive because then you open yourself up and you get hurt. But that's the mystery of life. I would rather be this way. There was a song that I think it was Garth Brooks did, a beautiful song that talks about just this. I posted it the other day. And he just talks about the journey. He says, if I could go back in, I think he lost somebody. I think somebody died or something, maybe his wife or somebody. And it sounds terrible. But he says if he could go back again and change it, like and never meet her so he didn't have to suffer the loss, he says, no way. He says, because maybe I have to deal with the loss, but I would have missed the love, and I would have missed the journey. I would have missed it. And that's what's important for us to all remember. It's all about the journey, and it's a limited amount of time that we're here to make the best of it. And what's noble and what will make a difference is how we react and how we touch each other.
I like that a lot. And I mean, there's another quote you had that I had seen of yours. If we do nothing, then nothing gets done. And I really like that quote because it's super simple, but it's it hits the nail right on the head. Yeah, I mean,
it's so true. It doesn't matter how humble, whatever you do, whether you do something, you help somebody with a project, or you have money, have money that you could donate, whatever it is. Let Me Help Inc. is now a conduit. I don't own it, whatever. It's a foundation. And, we just, I think we're going to be Zooming with Oliver from the prostate cancer, and, because they would just want to Zoom and just say, hey, I want the world to say, this is where the money went, okay? And then we're going to do it with the other two that I mentioned, too, like another champion, Kathy Eldon, who just sent me her book, okay? And she's from Creative Visions, and that was tied to the hashtag I Am No Joke, anti-bullying. And she just humbled me. She says, dear Soho, you give me hope. Thank you for all that you're doing. Something, and this is the type of beautiful people that you attract. Hope Rising, a very optimistic book about life, and kind of resonates a little bit with what we're talking about. So it's all about the journey, the people you meet along the way, and how you make a difference in someone else's life and trying to just make them feel a little bit better. So that stuttering young child that I am, I'm still that nervous kid. But I'm maniacal. I can't help myself. Okay. When I tie it to music and I tie it to everything and everything I'm doing, I just meet it head on. And if I fall, like I was listening to Damon John, and we all know Shark Tank. Damon John is one of the sharks, right? He said, they all hear about their successes, but they don't know for every success they had at least 100 failures, okay? They don't hear about the failures. And it's true. You got to keep going forward no matter what in life, okay? And just get up and go forward. And we're here to support each other. Don't be afraid for outreach. Like with the anti-bullying, that part of it. You don't know the effects these things have when you're young and you get abused, okay? Things like that. I think, Ozzy Osbourne had a lot to say about that on the show, and it's amazing how these, Jeff Goldblum, he was also on the show, and they just talk about, and they're heroes. I mean, they just talk about revealing, personal things about themselves, like maybe they were a bully and they were doing this, and they say, well, yeah, you're right, and how it affected, and they reveal like some of their frailties or issues or problems, and because that's the human experience, because that's how you touch somebody. Not by being some big celebrity, whatever, having a lot of money. You touch somebody by showing, listen, I'm vulnerable. To be human is the air, but let's just do this together. Let's make the journey fun. So I hope that kind of fills in a little bit about what I'm doing, and I can't wait to come out with this music that I'll be announcing later on this year. And I'm writing some stuff and some of the projects that we're working on. And I'm probably forgetting half of them because we get constantly people approaching us all the time for different things. And it's been, I have a list here of different things that we're working on as well. And probably going to be producing some more movies now, okay? Because there's a lot of different great ideas and great content. I mean, what we have all just lived through was very, very historic times. I mean, I think everybody could agree, no matter what your beliefs are, that everything about the world has been rocked, okay? And the pandemic, even though it's been terrible in many ways, you need to look at, like everything, there is something good because you couldn't stop it. It happened. It's inevitable. Some things happen in life. Death is part of life. That is what defines life. That is what makes life special. If we lived forever, we wouldn't feel it so special.
Right.
But the whole experience is don't forget to pick up the flowers. Don't forget to smell the flowers along the way. Okay, and that's part of what I've done here. I'm trying to look here for all these other different, so I could remind myself because my memory is scattered a little bit because I'm trying. Oh, right, good. We're coming out with the Soho Radio. Okay, Soho Radio as well. This is going to be, and this is. Listen, it's hard work, but it's fun. And everything, we're just going to connect everything together. So, for people that want to sign up for the email list, I get asked that question, SohoJohnny.com, SohoJohnny.com, SohoJohnny LLC, Facebook, John SohoJohnny Pasquale. I think you mentioned that before on Facebook. Usual suspects. I'm not a social media guy. SohoJohnny on Instagram and SohoJohnny on YouTube. And Let Me Help Now. Let Me Help Inc. Has a presence as well. If anybody has any suggestions, wants to outreach or anything, you just pop an email, John, JOHN at SohoJohnny.com for the charity, for the foundation, info@letmehelpinc.org. So I put that out there as well. And we're putting things together. We have a studio concept that's going to probably be in Soho as well that we're going to be introducing with some type of club. And again, there's always will be some aspect of it or part of the funds is something that's going to go towards Let Me Help Now, which is going to be a conduit, to channel money for some of these different causes. And tomorrow it could be like, one of my idols was the late Jerry Lewis, okay? And a lot of the audience remembers he was, back in the day, he used to do that Jerry Lewis telethon. And that's another project that we're talking about really big. With a lot of champions, to work with us, that's resonating too. Just think along the lines of Live Aid or We Are the World, okay, those type of things. That's and Jerry Lewis telethon. I think he used to have that 48 or 72 hours straight. There's footage you could Google where he used to read. I forget if it's cerebral palsy for children or muscular dystrophy, one of those two. I get those two mixed up. But he would have celebrities support him, and would show up unannounced at maybe 12 o'clock at night and just show up in the studio and give a performance. And that's something that I'm looking forward to doing something like that sometime soon. So streaming's part of entertainment today. The shows that we're doing are going to be high tech. They're going to have a streaming aspect, which is no surprise, as well as live shows and interaction. So we've got a new platform we're coming out with too. So it seems like, as you can see, my head is spinning, but there's just a lot going on. But, again, I'm trying to never lose sight of the fact that you got to keep your head on the bouncing ball, but realize what's really real, what's really important. And I try to make that part of everything that I do. And I've been very thankful that I'm blessed and I'm able to do what I do.
Well, you're clearly a very, very busy man. And I mean, aside from being on this amazing podcast, so what do you do with your free time if you even have any?
Well, I'm working on more time management right now. It's been a challenge because, I still got my real estate schlick downtown. We're doing actually another entertainment company now that I understand might be backed by Amazon in a building. And, I try to find solutions like for retailers to open up, in different areas like Soho or West Greenwich Village and find spots. And I actually have that, my peprealestate.com besides what we have, we also have a brokerage, and we will help retailers as well, and to reinvent themselves, to get people in through the door through experiential. And you just can't open up a sneaker store anymore, right, guys, in retail. And there's different concepts now for the office as well. And the city took a punch. Oh, I would mention another conversation I had today that's also been resonating. We're collaborating with another champion, Susan Lee. I spoke to her again today with my team, with John, and we're collaborating on a few projects here to bring some light to the embattled Broadway theater district, which has been dark for such a long time, and a lot of the actors, the performers moved away, whatever the case may be. So again, we have something that we're talking about, possibly raising money for students, high school students, so that we can help them in their careers if they went into the theatrical arts. And then we would possibly do another live show later this year. Besides that, that's going to be called Broadway Cares, that we're basically going to collaborate on for these adult, seasoned stars or performers on Broadway, to help do a show to raise money for these children for the theatrical arts. So these are the type of things that it's just. I'm just so thankful that I'm able to do that. And I listen, believe me, I'm not making light of it. It's not easy to do this. You have to be able to work hard, but be organized in your time. Okay, which is why I said time management. Make a time throughout the day where you work out, do some exercise, especially if you're working from home. Time to work, the time for family and loved ones. Okay, try to structure it. Okay, because that's what threw us off kilter. I mean, I put on a couple of pounds here with this whole COVID thing as well. But it's. But the light's coming. The light's getting brighter and brighter as this year progresses, and the inoculations and everything, and the mindset of people. There's going to be a major rubber band that's been stretched out. That's going to snap back here with the demand for content and entertainment. So watch out. And I'm hoping that we're going to be riding on the crest of the wave with SohoJohnny.
I believe it, man. I think it's going to happen. Tommy, you got anything to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say, Josh is probably blown away. He's probably never seen me sit this long without interrupting or saying something, but it's all unconscious because I wanted to be completely upfront with you. SohoJohnny, when I heard that I was going to be able to fill in for this podcast and have you on the show, I was like, I want to do research. I want to figure them out. And then I saw just everything you did. And as the explanation, as all the listeners that are currently listening now, you have quite the track record. So for me, I'm not the most analytical person, but as humans, we want to find a pattern. As a human, we want to find, all right, well, oh my gosh, there's just so many things. How can one person accomplish it all? But the reason I was so quiet is I was almost mentally connecting the dots, because once again, philanthropist, concert promoter, producer, helping different artists. You have a show coming up, Soho Radio. I could go on, and I apologize for cutting it so short, even though I felt like I said a lot of words. But in a lot of people's head, when someone says, who's SohoJohnny, I now have an answer because I was finally able to connect the dots. If you look at every step of your, I know you didn't like this word, career, it sounds so formal, right? You're like, am I that old now? No. So I think it's really cool because when you look at and analyze everything you said, all the different steps you took, you always had one constant theme that I'm able to locate. And I'm sure you're aware of it now too, is you always are looking to put some more good into the world. You're always helping others. So even when you're that stuttering kid in the garage, having these get-togethers, you provided people an escape to kind of be able to console me, like, hey, maybe I didn't have the best day, but hey, I'm going to hang out with Johnny right now because, he just makes things fun. He's the life of the party, if you will. And I don't mean that in, hey, other people aren't fun, but that's what you were. People came to you and gravitated towards you. And then look at all the other steps. Promoting concerts. Well, you're helping out with charity. You're helping artists produce and things. And that's, once again, putting others in front. And so it's really cool that I'm finally able to sit and saying, well, now when I look at it, it was in my face all along. I was trying to find something else, saying, wait, real estate, philanthropy, but also an entertainer, but now he's produced, like, it didn't make sense, but just hearing you speak, hearing your different life stories, and kind of eating up all the different types of wisdom you're able to bring along, that's kind of what kept me a little bit silent. Josh is still blown away. Look, he hasn't even said anything. He's like, how did Tommy not talk for like 40 minutes? Is that even possible? Maybe his Wi-Fi disconnected? But once again, SohoJohnny, I'm not sure if I did a good or poor job in trying to summarize you, because once again, you can't summarize you. Like you said, you define yourself almost as a conduit. So I don't want to be disrespectful and saying, oh, here's the definition of what you are. But it's so humbling to hear someone that said, just like me right now, I feel like that stuttering kid who does not have that right direction in life because I fell into what society told me, saying, go work the 9 to 5, just make enough money to pay the bills. And if you somehow have some energy after the 40 hours you put in your, 9 to 5, then do a podcast, do something you want to do, but it's not going anywhere. But that's kind of where you come in saying, whoa. Don't let the universe dictate your schedule. You should dictate your schedule, kind of thing. So hearing someone go through all the tribulations, the different curves that life has thrown you, whether it's tragic or making you question where you were, just hearing you talk, hearing you being able to use all these metaphors and beautiful, eloquent ways that's able to connect us as if we've known you the whole time is definitely a talent you have, which is, and I'm sure Josh can say, it's no surprise you are where you are now. You're filling such a big plate.
I think it's my fault that you probably didn't get an opportunity to talk because I was such a blabbermouth.
No.
But I think, what was I about to say? It just went here and here, and it just came out of me.
Oh, it's all right. The tables have turned because now I started to blab when you had a good idea. I was like, no, it's my turn.
But you know what it is? I mean, the talented Eileen Shapiro, PR, and she's been another angel, mentor, and unbelievable person putting wind in my sails. And she tells me, she says, John, you got to learn to say no. I mean, how many things you're going to take on? This is not real. You got to really focus, whatever. And she's right. Okay. But, when it comes things like the blind kids camp, I say, I just can't help, those things kind of, I can't say no. Okay. But, it's important that we all remain structured and realistic with our time. Okay. So time management is something that I've been working on myself. So all these projects, okay. But, they all crawl along, they all have their quote unquote critical path, it's called, okay, that they find their way. And slowly, I'm like the conductor, trying to put all the right people in the right places. It takes time because at the end of the day, I'm the guy on the stage. I'm the guy that I just want to have that audience. I want to take them away from their lives a little bit, make them smile and give them the gift of entertainment. Okay. The conduit, like I said, of music. I think I have it on my website. This quote came, I just woke up with this thought, and when you think of something, say, that looks pretty cool or special. Let me write it down because you'll forget, right? It's like a dream. If you don't think of it, write it down, you'll forget like 2 minutes after you really become awake when you're in the morning. I think the breath of love is conveyed or spoken through the medium of artistic musical expression. So I probably have the words wrong because I really think that is true. Music is a vibration and it just connects into, I hate to use the word soul, okay, but I really think that's there's something to it. There's actually a science to that. Okay, he who sings praise twice. And again, I'm not getting into religion, but just something that I think is very, very important for people to realize. Now, listen, music is a time machine. I mean, how many times have you listened to a song that you haven't heard in a long time, just for that 1 second? You're in the car getting your first kiss. Or you remember that first experience you had, on your birthday when you got your first car. Yeah. Or your first failure, or first, or first loss, or whatever. But when you think of music and it brings you back there, music is a companion that takes us through our life. Okay, it's a friendly companion. I mean, when I had to wake for my mom, there was this beautiful song by Kate Mulgraves, I think, from that children's movie Frozen 2, called "All Is Found." And, when the day that she passed, throughout the day, I happened to hear that on it was on that song, that movie. I said, what a beautiful thing. Listen to the words. And one verse, it says like, your mother find your way across the river. Okay. And, I played it at her wake. Okay. Because like that, what better send off could I do but to tie something beautiful like that for the experience and the celebration of life I had with my mom. So for everyone else that has a loss out there, okay, I make a humble suggestion that you do something, and the best thing that you could do for losing somebody that you love is to do something for humanity, because that's what really matters, and that's what's going to count. Send some good currency up there, the currency of love and human soul.
I mean that's you're super down to earth, very humble, and very very wholesome. And we definitely need more people like you, because my goodness, Sean, if we did, the world would not be in the shithole that we are in now. Things can definitely be so much better, and it's very reassuring and very uplifting to know that there are still people like you out in the world, and that there are people striving to make the difference and to do the work that people just seem to sit on. And I'm glad you're here to be able to spread the word and to be able to tell the others that, hey, this is the message, this is what we got to do, because this is important stuff, and this is like the biggest. I mean, us as humanity, we've only lived such a very, very small sliver in this large timeline of history we have. And I think we seem to forget how insignificant in that timeline it may seem, but we have a very, very big positive impact that we can make today and for the future and for the for the rest of humanity. So I definitely appreciate what you do, and your team, of course, because I know you don't like taking all the credit, but it takes a strong person and a strong leader to be that bulldog to lead that team, and as well as you do. So kudos to you, man.
Well, thank you. Again, it's not looking to take credit here, but maybe consider me a lightning rod to catch the lightning for anybody, bring other people around so that we can work together to do something, okay? And, for the business, for the show, entertainment, and just a little slice of charity. Will always be a part of what I do. We're talking about, mourning loss and everything. Like I said, you just make time during the day. Like what I did is, I'm going to grieve, I'm going to cry, okay? But I'll say this out there for people that are going through tough times. Kind of like make a time during the day when you're alone and you could cry. Okay, crying is healing. Crying helps you, get on. And if anything that a loved one would want you to do, is to parent yourself when they're not there, especially losing a parent. I'm saying parent because I lost my mom. But, you want to do something to make a difference, to make that person's memory special. For me, that was connecting with other people in a positive way. So thank you for those kind words. I mean, I'm overwhelmed. But again, it's all about the people around me, because without them, I'm nothing. I'm still nothing. I'm just some kid behind the desk, and I'm blessed to be here because I'm having a great time. I'm breaking my butt sometimes, but that's okay because I got these two hands. I got my SohoJohnny signature hat. And I'm going to keep it real and get out there, and I'm going to go through that door. And if I stumble and fall, maybe I will, but I'm going to get it to the other side, no matter what happens. And I'm going to do it with my hands outreached, because that feel good makes a difference rather than walking alone.
For sure, and that's, I mean, it's amazing to have you, because the reason we started this podcast was because 2020 was a mess, and we wanted to get people off of everything that they're seeing around them, and more so just kind of tune in, have fun, kind of like take a moment to forget the world around you, and like just step out of that bubble. So I definitely appreciate that. Like, you are the embodiment of what we had hoped to be.
Well, I just, if we can make a difference in one person's life, that's an accomplishment, right? Okay. All we need is just we're all together, just make a little bit of a difference, and that will create the tidal wave. That's all.
Absolutely.
And again, shout out to you guys for what you're doing. just keep it up and keeping the word out there. There's so many. I mean, I saw, Stephen King. Was it Stephen King? Did a movie, a long movie. It was a long movie. It was a series years ago called The Stand. Okay, and it just was redone now. I don't know if it was CBS on there. I think it's CBS on All Access. CBS All Access, which is now soon it's turning to Paramount Plus or something streaming. Okay, and they redid it. But basically, the premise of the book was, ironically, and probably why they released it now again, is that like 97% of the world died from a pandemic. 97%. And the 3% of the survivors, okay, were now led by some powerful, like this, the godlike force. And then the other side were captured by kind of like the devil. And the devil kind of shows himself a little bit and has these people trying to bring carnage and death and not caring, and that's the whole struggle between good and evil. I thought that was a great movie back then, and sure enough, they redid. I just saw the last episode the other day. But the moral of the story of that, like anything, is that, these things do make a difference. There's a reason for everything. We're not supposed to understand everything. We're never going to understand it. If there's one thing about the greatest, most intelligent people that have ever lived, learn, is that you learn that you know enough about not enough about something. Actually, this is actually a quote by that astrophysicist that's always doing those universe things, Tyson, whatever, I forget his name, not brilliant guy. But you know enough about the world to know this much, but not enough to know that you really don't know all the things that you don't know about a topic. Okay? But the true intelligence is to realize, my God, there's so much more that I need to know. You look up into the night sky at night, and you see stars. One star could be how it looked 10,000 years ago, because it took 10,000 light years with the speed of light to reach him. Another one could be only 4. So you're slowly looking at a history book. Another person can see something else, like with different eyes, different prisms. So it's all about the eyes of the beholder. And I choose, and I hope to instill upon others, to put the eyes in the light of passion to look at each other.
Well put.
Johnny, I'm just happy to say I know you have been so generous with your time and just kind of generous with everything that you've done in your life. So I know Josh and I are really excited to be generous to you now and say you mentioned that you have Soho Radio. We'll be more than willing to take over that venture for you. We can be the show on there. It's off the books. You don't even have to worry about it. We'll take care of all the logistics, and we should be good to go. One thing off your plate, so you could use your strength to continue to capitalize on these beautiful moments where you're able to provide people comfort. And so don't worry, Josh and I, we got it. You got nothing to worry about, Johnny.
Thank you. So Soho Record and Tribeca Records are our 2 labels, okay, where we sponsor artists. Our publishing company is Soho Publishing, believe it or not, NY, and different things. And the studio is Soho Incubator. So, I kind of kept that Soho involved with all those different things. And thank you for that offer. That's coming around the bend now. It's we'll see how that all comes together. It's very interesting, but it's kind of everything's tying together. It's almost like it's kind of intriguing to me to see how all these things are just slowly coming together, almost like it was meant to be. And hopefully, like I say, if you always keep a positive spin on it, I want it to always have that feel good. I want it always to have that outreach, okay? Because if there's anything of a legacy I want to leave behind, is that, okay, for the future. I just try to do my little difference, my little tiny little piece, trying to make a difference here. So all that, and having a good time, because remember, people, to follow your passion if you can, right? There's a place for everything out there. And I'm not trying to be too altruistic here, or non-realistic, I should say, because some people say, well, listen, I can't do this. I got to work in a job I hate, whatever. It's a matter of just mental attitude and just tweaking it a little bit. All right. I believe if you could just change the experience with the people that you work with a little bit, maybe that'll make a difference too. So, and nothing happens overnight. So that's, I don't want to sound too much like I'm preaching here, but I get caught up, but I'm sorry about that. But,
problem.
it's part of my journey. It's what's happened to me. So I'm just sharing just what's happened to me, and just a lot of exciting stuff. Well, we have a lot of exciting stuff coming down the line. I think I mentioned it before. I encourage people to sign up for our mailing list, SohoJohnny.com, and all the usual suspects, or just pop an email, john@SohoJohnny.com.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I again, greatly appreciate the time that you put into doing what you do, and more importantly, taking the time out of that precious time to spend with us and spread the word, because it's
and bless your dad. I'm glad he's
thank you.
doing much better with everything. Okay, because like you said before, if we do nothing, then nothing gets done for these things. And I believe that if we keep fighting, listen, you could talk about the controversy of like the medical tech for the inoculations that are out for COVID. They rushed them through. Life is a matter of risk, right? We have to accept that. It's like there's a greater risk to maybe get COVID or take an inoculation. Some people are nervous about it. It's not my place to advise with that, but life is everything is a risk. So, but we have to do something about it. So maybe a cure for cancer. There was a doctor that was trying, and this is going back in the 90s when my dad died, to get some cure for brain cancer, and actually took him to Philadelphia. We tried, but the more research, more and more answers would come out. As a matter of fact, this novel, it's not really a vaccine. People call it a vaccine. The media calls it. It's not a vaccine for COVID that comes out, the shots you get. The technical medical definition is not, it's actually a pathogen. But the way that it is, the way the delivery is, the mRNA, I don't want to get into that. I'm not a doctor, but has some possibilities to help cancer too. So, but we've got to help that, and there has to be money, there has to be all this research and everything. So those are the type of things, because maybe, if you help, you'll make a difference. You may not see it even in your lifetime, but maybe somebody in the future. And I pray that, we improve the experience of life here on this planet for each other, and preserve the values of human nature and kindness that we have within our heart.
Absolutely. That's all we have at the end of the day. No labels, no nothing. Just the kindness, our hearts, our families, and the people that we choose to surround ourselves around. And that's all that matters. So I definitely appreciate that. Tommy, is there anything you wanted to say?
No, like I said, I know I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it's always just nice to continue to always have that kind of reassurance. I know a lot of the times we get dawned, especially with the media and things like that, not to get too controversial, there's just a lot of negative messages, or things tend to kind of paint in light. It's almost become a joke. Like, I almost avoid watching the news because I know I'm going to be my vibe might be up here. After the news, it's way down here because I'm like, oh gosh, it's almost like they put like 59 minutes of just terrible news, and then 1 minute at the very end, they're like, oh, but here's a dog riding a tricycle. Then everything's supposed to be okay again. But I'm like, hold on, that doesn't cover up the fact that millions and millions of people being impacted by things all around the world. But then once again, it's humbling when we are in an opportunity to be able to sit down with people that are so successful, and just continuing to not just have a brand, but try to be so intricate and careful and strategically trying to have a brand that continues to invoke this type of emotion, saying, no matter how big SohoJohnny gets, he wants to stay true to his roots. He wants that message to be the same, regardless of what platform that he has. And I know you're kind of saying it's really cool to kind of see everything in this universe kind of coming back together. I was joking around and thinking in my head, it's almost like, everyone talks about that Marvel cinematic universe with the superheroes. Like, there's all these different movies, and it all came to one. You have a real estate thing, you have music happening over here, producing movie over here, and helping charities. So it's almost like you're creating your own empire kind of thing. But it's really cool because a lot of the times, personally, maybe it's just me, when I think of empire, I'm like, oh, there's an evil person on top of that empire, they're too powerful. But it's really cool to see someone like this sitting down, taking time with us on this amazing Mindless Morning Show, and just hearing, saying, hey, it's cool to hear the strategic steps you're taking, but then to be able to pick your brain and find the true essence of everything. And once again, that essence of SohoJohnny that I'm figuring out, I know all the listeners are now understanding as well, as we're all humans. At the end of the day, when the lights are off and we're about to go to sleep, we're all that primal, we're all vulnerable, we all go to sleep, we all have these same type of emotions, but it's almost like the world's trying to paint an image saying, to know you're good, you have to bring other people down. You have to make sure you're up on top. And so it's really cool for you. It says, no, let's have everyone rise each other up.
Feed the inner child that you have inside yourself. Part of me is still a child, and I don't let it go. I don't let it go. It's a little bit of the fountain of youth. You don't live forever, but the inside, your heart, your soul, your passion is timeless, is ageless. And that, you talk about Marvel Entertainment, whatever. Are you kidding? A big Silver Age comics get buff right here, and there he is. He is our modern, in our times, the modern day Walt Disney was. And I met this man, the late Stan Lee. There he is,
Stan
right
Lee.
there with his autograph. Okay, but the point is that like Spider-Man, great power comes great responsibility. So I've been blessed in certain ways, and that's a responsibility that I look at it as well. And just speak to that younger person that I'm talking to or advising. Besides the passion, also keep that keep that inner child alive. Don't let that become old. Maybe you may get gray hair. Maybe you may get older on the outside, your body, because, we only have one body. But always feed that and recognize that. And feed into that, okay? Again, love yourself, but in a humble way. A humble way, because in that way, it's easy to connect and love others and to accept and to be kind to others.
I feel like that could almost be the thesis of the show right now. It's get back in touch with that childish wonder. I feel like as we grow older, we get deteriorated when, everyone jokes around saying, oh, no one told me about this, about adulting. Then the real reality hits. You kind of get a peek behind the curtain and you get so jaded. But a lot of times it's almost as simple as you said, the simplicity in the quotes you use. It's just, if everyone could just get back in touch to your childish ways, just that fascination that you had, just the naive wonder you had. Why not just get back in touch? Don't let reality, if you will, jade you, because if everyone could kind of get back into those roots, children don't kind of see each other in, oh, that's pure evil or that's good. Everyone is just so out to look for the good in the world. We're not looking for the negativity. And so just as simply as you put it, I think if everyone kind of gets in touch with their childlike ways, I feel like the universe, if you will, if you put all that nice energy in there, it has to have some kind of trickle down effect. And I feel like that's one thing that I hope a lot of people that are listening are going to hopefully try to walk away with. It's changing that perspective. You're going to be in the same situation, but if you change that perspective, that could do so many different things for you.
Well, the old saying that you always hear, is when you really give, when you give, you really receive. When you actually give is when you really learn, you'll always receive back. And, I've always heard that my whole life. It wasn't until I started getting involved with the charity work and all this other stuff that they're doing did it come with a new meaning, because it helped reinvent my life. And it gave me, and the connections and the people and the love that I received and I continue to receive. And what's happened to me has been a renaissance. But I think, because you kind of, if you shine a light in a dark tunnel, you attract the other people, more light around you. It's just that simple. So goodness is contagious. Smiling is contagious. Very, very simple, as you just said, Keep that child, keep that, I'll always love Captain America. I'm always going to love, the Avengers, and I want to be on the team. It's all about teamwork. It's not about me. It's about team. Go team.
I'm so excited for the SohoJohnny show now at this point, because, it's obviously, it's going to be the best. It's going to be a lot of good messages for everybody to see. So that's good. It's very good.
A lot coming.
Yeah, for sure. And we're gonna have all links to everything for you in the description of the videos and the audio and everything. You've given us so many wise messages already, but is there any one thing that you want to tell our listeners?
I would like to say that if everyone listening to us now could do us a favor, and when you start your day tomorrow, wherever you are in the world, to start your day and try to think about the fact that you're blessed in some ways, that people are less fortunate, and that to go out and just put a smile on someone's face. The first person you meet when you walk outside the door, of course, you're with your family, your loved ones, assuming that you are, maybe unless you live by yourself, it doesn't matter. But when you walk out the door to go into the public, okay, put a smile on someone's face. It's very simple. And that's what I like someone to do. Very simple. Just try and put some kindness into the world. All right? Let's try and spread that. Not a heavy lift, right? Pretty simple. That's what I like to say. And please, if anybody wants to just join the lightning rod of SohoJohnny, just reach out. Reach out on our platform, SohoJohnny.com or Facebook or any of the usual suspects. Anything charity or anything, we're here. We're always looking to try to help people the way we can, or do a show. Any ideas for a show, or artists that want to reach out, maybe to work with us or join with us. We'll always have some charity involved there, and just contact info at letmehelpinc.org, and we're here. Check us out on YouTube. We try to put some of our crazy experiences on YouTube and some of our shows, and you'll see me going nuts. I'm out of my mind, but that's okay. I don't want to take myself seriously. None of us should take ourselves seriously all the time. Accept yourself, let your hair down. Okay. This not isn't meant to perfect. It is meant to be perfect, but just laugh and let's, try and lighten it up a little bit. Like you said about watching the news and everything, your show is not negative, okay? That's why I was commending the show that you guys put on, okay? Keep it up, guys. That's good work. Take it from SohoJohnny right here.
I appreciate that. That's awesome. And so for any of our listeners, you got to do what he says. So otherwise, don't listen to us anymore. Well, thank you again, man, for coming on. And Tommy, thank you for co-hosting again. That's excellent. So yeah, everyone, if you didn't know who Sonny, damn, I'm like getting all messed up here, tongue twisters. If you didn't know who SohoJohnny was before, now you do. And I hope you learned a lot, because everyone can learn a lot from this man. And I hope you all take what he says and apply it. Don't just listen, apply it. So, because like the good old SohoJohnny says, if we do nothing, nothing gets done. So take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for tuning in to the Mindless Morning Show. We hope you enjoyed it, and we greatly appreciate you guys picking us out of the many great podcasts out there. Now go enjoy your mindless day.